Good morning and welcome to my Roman kitchen on this quite chilly day, so I'm quite grateful for the fire. Today's recipe is called pullum parthicum, Parthian chicken, and it's flavoured with something called asafoetida. Now, many of you will know this spice. It's rather pungent, sulphurous, also known as devil's dung for good reason, I think. It's a bit like Marmite in the sense that you either love it or hate it. It came in two forms in the Roman world. The first kind is silphium, and silphium became extinct roughly mid-1st century AD, and at some point in the early Hellenistic period they discovered that there was a different plant that they could use from Afghanistan and Iraq, and that was called asafoetida. So they came together and they were marketed together, and then eventually the one died out and they had to rely on the one from Parthia. So Parthian silphium and Cyrenaican silphium. Cyrenaica is where the first kind of silphium came from.
In the 1st century, the Roman Empire stretched from Britain in the west to Syria in the east and south to the north coast of Africa. Existing trade routes such as the spice roads brought in goods from further east. Silphium was a spice so valuable it was kept in the treasury and is pictured on silver coins of the day. It was grown in a small tract of land in ancient Cyrenaica, now today's Libya. For reasons we don't know, silphium became extinct, possibly through overgrazing or over-farming, and the very last stalk, according to Pliny, was given to Nero as an amusement. So the Romans turned to asafoetida, a very similar pungent flavour, a resin made by tapping the root and drying the secretion. In Roman times, asafoetida came from Aria, an area centred around Herat on the borders of modern-day Iran and Afghanistan. It is likely that the spice travelled from Herat northwest to Mashhad in eastern Iran, to follow the southern shores of the Caspian Sea, across the Iranian plateau to Ctesiphon near modern-day Baghdad, then either north along the Euphrates to Dura Europhus in the Syrian desert. From there, caravans travelled to the Mediterranean, either by the northerly route to the port city of Antioch, or the southern route via Damascus to Tyre, and then by sea to Rome.
So silphium, true silphium, had all kinds of magical powers. It was an aphrodisiac, it was a stimulant and a soporific, and I find it hard to understand how it can be both, and an abortificant, and it stopped pregnancy too, apparently. So it was such a magical thing, but of course it died out, and I think it died out because they used to like the stalk, the leaves, the flowers, the root, the resin from the root and the resin from the stalk, and if you start taking the root, it's difficult to make it to grow. So that's one of the reasons why I think it died out. So it came in a number of different forms, and many of you will be familiar with the yellow powder that you can buy now in all kinds of supermarkets. It's the resin ground with turmeric and bean meal. It's that distinctive smell, very familiar. Now there are two forms of resin. There's the fresh resin and the dried resin, and I have both. I was very lucky to make contact with a lady who's got family in Kabul in Afghanistan, and so they used to send me on a regular basis fresh resin. And so here you can see the different kind of textures it has. That's pure resin, the dark brown, and it's also slightly opaque, and this doesn't smell very much at the moment. And then you have the absolute pure resin, and this again I was very lucky to get. You can see there's a little bit attached to that. This, when I first received this, it looked like putty. It was creamy white and had a beautiful smell. Not at all the kind of sulphurous smell that you would normally associate it. And of course, over time, it solidified into the same appearance as that. So we are going to use, I think, we're going to use this kind of resin. And it says in the recipe, as I'll read it out, draw the chicken from the rear, fine, and cut into quarters. Pound pepper, of course, lovage, a little caraway, pour on liquamen, fish sauce, Flavour with wine. Arrange the chicken pieces in a ceramic dish. Put the sauce over the chicken. Now dissolve fresh lassa in warm water and put it straightway on the chicken and cook it. Sprinkle with pepper and serve, as they always say at the end of every recipe. So it doesn't tell you how to cook it, but we're going to cook it in what's called a klibanus, which is this wonderful structure here. But we will start by grinding our spices and getting going, and we will also put the water to warm because I need to dissolve my resin. So I'm just going to leave it to stand next to the fire there to get warm, and hopefully it won't break. Okay, so we're going to prepare our sauce. It's very, very simple. It's pepper, of course, always. So we start with a few peppercorns in our mortar, and we have lovage and caraway, and they both need to be roasted. Now the lovage is quite an interesting spice. Many people have argued that when lovage occurs in recipes, it's the green, it's the herb, and I'm very sure in my mind that it is the seed. I will explain on the website. So I want a couple of teaspoons of this because I'm going to use some lovage later on. So I'm going to grind the lovage separately. We'll start out by roasting the lovage. And that pan is nice and hot, so it won't take long. Lovage is very bitter. If you use too much lovage, it is deeply unpleasant. And so you just have to be careful and subtle with it. And every peppercorn is precious. Right. A little bit more.
Great smell from lovage.
Oh, isn't it good? It's
Isn't
wonderful. It tastes a little like celery, a little like celery seed, but much more punchy. And all these spices need to be used with a certain amount of care. Otherwise, the bitterness always comes through. They are naturally bitter. But when you are using them with a degree of balance with other things. Okay, so this is the caraway, and we need a couple of teaspoons, but I'm afraid I'm rather limited because my spoon won't go in, so we're going to cheat and use my hand. And a couple of teaspoons of caraway. Small teaspoons, and leave those to roast while I grind the pepper and the lovage into a fine powder. That's nearly there. It's a good smell. It's a wonderful smell. Okay, so we are going to take a little bit of this away so that I can use it for my side dish, because I don't want all of that. There we are. Now we need to add the caraway. And then I will start to heat up, or continue to heat up my oven top, which needs to go under the flame. So that now we can go on and grind the caraway. Now we need, now my water's nice and hot, we need to decide how much of this we're going to use and how readily it dissolves. It dissolved very nicely when it was creamy white. I think we'll do that. I think we'll have a very generous asafoetida and see how we get on. Put that in there. Carry on grinding. Right, we're done. To finish off the sauce, we just need oil and wine and fish sauce. So we did a good glug of oil. It just says a little wine. It doesn't say a lot. But we'll just have a little splash there. And then here's our fish sauce. And we want, I think, asafoetida and fish sauce go really well together. So you need a generous couple of glugs of fish sauce. There we go. So there's our sauce for our chicken. It's very simple. Very simple indeed. So now, would you come round, Rod, and have a look? Because the colour has now returned. This is what it looked like when I got it. And as you can see, it is dissolving beautifully. Well, there you go.
So it's rehydrated.
It's rehydrated. It's wonderful. I didn't realise it would go back to its original colour. Very nice. So now we need to prepare our clibanus to roast. These small ovens, almost like a tagine in its design and how it functions, I believe, were found in Pompeii. And a colleague of mine, Paul Roberts, went into the store in Naples and found them sitting together as a piece, and over some months of research he decided that we should really be calling them clibanus, and I agreed. And as you can see, there's a bottom base, and ordinarily I would be able to put my chicken directly into this, but I think, as you can see, previous occasions it has cracked, so my sauce can't go into this. So I'm going to cheat, and I'm just going to simply just put a dish inside it like that, which is intact and will not spoil. Then we will take our chicken, put your chicken in pieces, pour our sauce over.
Oh, that looks nice.
So we are ready, apart from our asafoetida, which needs to be poured in as a liquor. And there's a couple of pieces inside that haven't dissolved, and I think I will leave them out. So now we can add our lid. There we are. This is the same structure, of course, as the testum, which we saw with the libum, and it's the same really as that for the patina. You arrange your fire on the top like a Dutch oven and generate really quite intensive heat down into the air underneath. So I'll just move this trivet out of the way, and I'm going to go around the other side. Too many other big pieces. There's a substantial amount of heat coming off this. There's an awful lot coming up from the top. It's also travelling down. So everything gets pushed underneath. And this is the magic of these things. Because they have this angled walls, the fire can go right underneath the top, and we push our little pieces around the outside. We should have roast chicken in about 35 minutes, I suspect. Shouldn't take long. So honeyed mushrooms are basically mushrooms fried in oil with honey, with pepper and with lovage, and they are quite delicious. So we're going to get our pan nice and hot, fry our mushrooms, put some oil in the pan. Now it's hot, and start adding mushrooms. There we are. You want quite fierce heat because you want some caramelisation, which you will get, of course, with the honey as well. So there's our spices, and I will add them quite soon. And there's our honey, but the honey goes on in at the end, I think, because we don't want it to catch. I think there is every possibility that these hobs used all kinds of different sources of heat. You've got the embers from a wood fire from the oven. You've got a standard wood fire for things like this, and then you've got proper charcoal that's been made by a skilled charcoal manufacturer. There we are, lots of sizzle, which is what we want. And I will add this is pepper and lovely, so we'll add it now so it sears together. And with any luck, we'll have both dishes ready together to serve up. I'm going to try and listen for some sizzle from the chicken. See that it's cooking. There. Yes, there is. It's hard to tell because of the mushrooms, but I'm fairly certain there's a sizzle. And I think to lift the lid off just to check is a little defeatist at this stage. Now I hope those flames aren't going to crack my pot. Well, you can see actually, can you, that the pot is already cracked. Now I have developed more of a respect for the fine pieces of charcoal. You have taught me something, Rod. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Because it's so much easier to top up and to keep a fire going with fine pieces. And at this stage in the game, manipulating the big pieces is quite difficult. So there we go.
But I wouldn't be roasting a chicken on my forge, I don't think.
You wouldn't. Well, you could. You could rig up a spit.
Mmm.
I bet you've cooked a sausage or two on your forge though, haven't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. We have honey that needs to be loosened. It's got a... Oh no, it's not too bad. It's just got a little skin on it rather than having set completely. So we want a nice, generous spoonful of honey. And of course we need fish sauce. That's the key to this as well. Mustn't forget the fish sauce. The fish sauce I use is Red Boat. It's one of the best fish sauces you can buy in the world. It is fabulous in terms of its taste and nutritional content. It's very fine as well. Oh, smoke in the eye. And I have made contact with the manufacturer, who's based in San Francisco, and he's sending me some new samples of fresh Red Boat. So when it comes, we will have one film all about fish sauce. I will be able to get hold of Coloratura d'Alici from the Naples region, and also Flor de Garum from Cadiz, and we will have a taste test and make various kinds of Roman sauces using all the different kinds of fish sauce that is available, and see what they all taste like in comparison. So I look forward to that. Watch this space if you are interested in fish sauce. Nice. Oh, these are top. Oh. Oh, God, they smell good. So, I need to add my final addition. This is the little bit of fish sauce. Give it a little kick. There we are, just a tiny bit really. It's a very small portion. Right, it's always a good idea to obviously taste and see how we are in terms of sweetness and flavour. Oh, very good, but that sweetness and those spices requires even more fish sauce. How about that? You need the umami, but you don't need a fishiness necessarily. Sometimes you do want the fishiness. Other times it's just about balancing umami with the sweetness. Oh, smoke in the eye, sorry. There's a reason why charcoal is used. It's much less hard on the eyes. Oh yeah, oh yes. Perfect. So we are really ready to dish. I think I will try and remove some of the ash from the dishes, because I'm sure the average Roman senator didn't like it when his food came out covered in ash. It's a big problem, I think. Okay, so we're going to take some of this fire off, not all of it, because it may go back in. I just don't want to have too much. Okay, so this is going to be a quick look to see whether we have nice colour, and there we are. Oh, not too bad. Sizzle. But we need a little longer, don't we? A little longer. So we're there in terms of colour, but we want it to be cooked. I can smell a little asafoetida coming up now.
That's easy for you to say.
Which is good, which is what we want. And maybe, just maybe, my beautiful resin, which is 4 years old, is probably past its best, and I need to get in touch with Helen, my friend from Kabul, and say, can you have some more please? Because it doesn't last forever. And that lack of a smell is disappointing. I'm going to dish up my mushrooms into the pot. So lots of side dishes in Roman cuisine. Little mixtures of vegetables with a sauce, patina with the egg, and they come out and they have, I think they have equal value to the meat. There is a suggestion that somehow, oh, hello Zeus, somehow the Romans didn't like vegetables, but it's not true. It's just that meat is high status, or some kinds of meat are high status, and therefore they're overstressed in the literature. Are you being naughty, Zeus? Are you? Right, Mr. Zeus, master of the universe, but not of me. Come here. You will get in the way. So I'm going to have another little look. It's been 10 minutes, hasn't it, since we last looked.
About that.
Let's see what colour we get. I find this Clibanus much less successful than the tester for baking anything really. And it's strange. I mean, they could have been prolific on Roman sites. Hey, look at that. That little extra time has given us colour. So I'm going to put it back because it's hot, because we need to clean off the fire. That looks good. So we have an awful lot of very, very fine embers now. Everything is burnt down. Every video that we do has a blog post attached to it on my website, which is atasteoftheancientworld.co.uk. So if you have questions about what I'm doing and the recipes, go to that site and you will see lots more images and discussion about asafoetida and the Clibanus and where they actually came from. And you can pose questions. I've got some asafoetida now. I always feel when I finish cooking and there's still fire left over, but it's quite wasteful. I'm sure, I have a feeling Roman slave cooks were, were much more careful about preserving it. I suppose it depended actually on their economic status of the household.
If you were a Bedouin, you'd put them in water and stop them cooking and then use them again.
Ha! Who knew? I might do that with my big pieces.
Yeah. Let's pop them in a pail of water.
And once they've dried out, they'll just burn again?
Of course.
Way. Very sensible. Thank you, Rod. Okay, I was using this vessel as a, there we are, lovely. There's a lot of fat in the chicken and that's come out and settled on the top. The sauce is all at the bottom. But we have a lovely crust. Not pink, but not ideal. I think what we have is a situation where it's very difficult to keep the top and the bottom of this vessel. That's the essence of the problem with these, is that you need twice the space to heat both pieces before you start cooking. And I don't have twice the space. And that is really a major point, because you have to start with a pot which both pieces have to be hot to start with. And I think my problem with this was that I didn't start with my bottom piece hot enough. Well, if you look round Pompeii at all the various kitchens that are in existence, my little platform is minuscule. Okay, let's go with our mushrooms. Now they're very sticky now. Most of the juice is gone, which is really good. Oh yes. A lovage. It's just enough. Not bitter at all, because you've got the sweet balance. And I know there's fish sauce in it, always fish sauce in it, but I can't taste it as fishy. All I can taste is umami. Absolutely delicious. Oh, and the lovage comes at the end. It's the wonderful thing about these spices, especially when you use them like this, freshly ground. As you chew, the taste continues in the mouth, and you get new sensations as you chew. So I've just hit a piece of lovage with my teeth, and the flavours burst into my mouth. Beautiful. I'm going to have another go. Do you want some, Rod?
Interesting taste. Nice.
Because you've probably never tasted lovage before.
Only in brandy and lovage.
Brandy and oh, do you have that? That's the liqueur.
That's for colds.
Oh, cold.
Brandy and lovage.
Brandy and lovage. But it's the lovage liqueur that you're thinking of, yeah. Yes. I don't know, I think that's made with a root.
Probably. That makes the mushrooms very tasty. Very that sweetness brings out the flavour of the mushrooms, doesn't it?
Very
That
much.
little kick of flavour at the end.
Oh, go for it. While we're waiting,
Thank you.
there'll be complaints from the dining room. The master boy saying, "Where's my supper? Where's my chicken?" And it's not cooked yet. Okay, we have had another 15 minutes, so we're going to take our fire off and serve our chicken regardless. Yes, I think I need to rebuild my platform 3 times the size, Rod.
Yep.
That's what we need.
An extension is what you
An
need.
extension. I think so.
That looks better.
That does look better, doesn't it?
Oh, it's sizzling as well.
Yay. There we are. Wow. Oh, now you can smell it. Now you can smell it. get rid of the embers off this. And put it back on there. There we go. Right. Coming round. Oh, smells good.
Sounds great.
Okay. Okay. We'll take a piece of chicken. It feels an awful lot better cooked this time. Yeah. Oh yes. So this, I think, is what they would have done. I mean, I guess diners would have taken the whole thing when it's cooled down a bit and just eaten it like any piece of barbecued meat, but we will cut it up into pieces. And it's coming off the bone nicely, which is fine. That little extra bit of time was enough, which I'm pleased about. Okay. I think that the bones Zeus will like, particularly as they're so lightly cooked. There won't be a problem for the dog, and he likes asafoetida. I know he does. Right.
Chicken bones aren't great for dogs.
They're not.
They splinter.
Well, I know, but only if they're really heavily roasted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yep.
Oh yeah. That's beautiful. That tells me that the resin, even though it didn't give off the smells, has penetrated the chicken beautifully and is glorious. Beautiful. Go for it, Rod. I think I would, because my resin is old, I would use even more of it, which is interesting, because when it first arrived, that resin, it was pretty powerful stuff. Now here, this is the last of the resin that didn't dissolve, and it's gone back to being hard. It's gone back to a crystal, so I'm going to keep it. I'm not going to waste it. And I'm going to taste the juice. Oh, I think almost as good. At the risk of no, you'll need a different spoon, Rod. You can try that one. But the juice is very good. Oh wow. Flavour of asafoetida is so interesting. It's so odd and
Intense flavour, isn't it?
intense.
Very,
if
very
you've
odd.
never encountered it before, and for instance, if you've never eaten a curry before or eaten garlic before, the instinct is to go, ooh, that's horrible. But it's not horrible. It's delicious.
I've used it in curry before, but I think the asafoetida that I had wasn't very fresh.
It was the yellow one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, when you see how much you use, I'm quite happy if you would like some, Rod, for your next curry.
Thank you.
You can have some of my
I will
resin.
let you. Thank you.
So, Parthian chicken. We learnt a lot about these clibanas. They're not easy to use. It requires a lot more charcoal than I'm used to, and I need to remember to heat both pieces. Ideally, I'd have a bottom that wasn't cracked. But my potter, who happens to be my cameraman, he hasn't made one yet. So when we get one that's actually all of a piece, I will try again with a different dish. But flavours are amazing. Asafoetida is a magical ingredient. The Romans loved it. It was, I think, widely available. Please have a go. Even if you can only buy the turmeric coloured asafoetida in the shops, it's worth a go. Don't forget to subscribe, because that's what matters apparently in YouTube, and go to atasteoftheancientworld.co.uk to see the blog post associated with this film. Thank you very much for listening.